What you see behind me is my 1974 Honda CB550. Welcome to Hell at Oil Leaks. I'm Justin. I've been turning wrenches for the last 25 years, and I've bought and sold well over 1,000 cheap cars and motorcycles. Rooted in the San Francisco Bay Area, we're going to be fixing all kinds of cars, trucks, motorcycles, and pit bikes. Follow along now as I go through my Honda CB550 and make it roadworthy. My goal is to ultimately trade up for like a Harley, but if this video gets enough traction, I may end up just building this thing into a really cool metric cruiser chopper style bike. So follow along and let's dig into it. So let's talk about what's overwhelmingly positive about this bike. First, it's registered with a clean title in my name with insurance and everything. It's got good chrome all the way around. Anything that's chrome looks beautiful. It's got new Avon tires, both front and rear, with new tubes in it. I like the blacked out minimalist little headlight design here. The gauges work great. It's got a brand new master cylinder, new brakes and pads, and a new caliper right here. Looks beautiful. Rear brakes work great. It's got a DeKelvik 4-1 exhaust, new chain, good lights. And overall, it's a pretty good looking bike. So now for the bad. The carburetors are definitely leaking gas from the overflow onto the ground. The carburetor boots here on the intake are starting to crack a little bit and show their age. The front brake switch isn't working properly. It's wired in, but it doesn't trigger the taillight at all. The taillight is only working right now with the rear brake. It's also not coming on its own when the headlights are just on. So we're going to have to repair that thing. The original taillight lens and the original side cover for the left side here both fell off on the freeway on that first ride that I took it on. The clutch is starting to slip a little bit too, I found, around 7,000 RPM and up, like when you're really ripping on it. So I do have a set of friction plates for this thing. I'm going to pop a clutch in it as well. Alright, this thing is absolutely cold. We've got the choke on, we've got the fuel on, we've got the ignition on. I gave it a couple primer kicks without anything turned on just to kind of see what she'd do, but let's give it a go. Oh yeah, first kick. There we are, but as I was saying earlier, the floats do leak a little bit of fuel. It's not like constant or anything, it's pretty intermittent, but like right before it started there, we kicked a little bit of fuel out. But the bike runs great. Really solid. Even like bone cold. Sounds awesome. Hopefully the mic didn't get all blown out by this thing. But yeah, so we're going to tear these carbs off and see if we can make her stop leaking. Alright, so I don't have a JIC screwdriver, which I wish I did, but I don't. This Phillips is working just fine though. It's going to be a little rough on the float bowls, but I'll be careful. So step one is to loosen up these little intakes. Okay, now that I've loosened up the clamps for the little intake boots, the next step will be getting this fuel line off here and here. It's got 2 fuel inlets on this thing. Once I get rid of those guys, should be able to start wiggling these carbs off and then get the throttle cables out of the little bracket back there. I don't know if you can see them or not. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So then we'll have to get the throttle cables out of there once I get the carbs off of their boots. Don't let them fool you guys. Working on your own shit ain't that hard. Take the fucking air filters off. Pop the carbies out. Just gotta take that little, those cables off and get these fuel lines out, and then we're good to throw her on the bench. Alright, so I pulled these guys off camera here just because it was a little easier with 2 hands. And now I've got my 4 carbs. There's still gas in them, but Whatever, we're gonna crack them open and take a look. Okay, so I'm gonna start by taking off one of these float bowls here. Oh, we're leaking a lot of gas. Whatever. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's a lot of gas. Okay. Okay, time to take off these carburetor float bowls. I tried doing it just a second ago, and there was a ton of gas pouring out. So I've decided to put them in a little pan here. See what we can do about this thing. Actually, let's take a peek inside there. A little bit of dirt. Okay, what we want is underneath this little bracket here. Will this pin slide out of it? Alright, these pins are a little stiff to get out of the carbs there, but I was able to pull them out and get the floats removed. And now I just got to pull these little screws out and pull these little valves out for the floats. Alright, so the little valve looks like this once you pull the little screw out and get it out for the float. This thing slides down, and then it slides back up. So it slides down and the float pulls it down, and then as the float rises, it pushes it back closed again. It feels pretty good in there. Maybe not perfect, so just gonna keep cleaning it out a little bit and then stick her back in. Alright, so unfortunately, some of these little O-rings on here have swollen. So like, it almost fits, but not quite. It's like a little long, so when I go to put it on the carburetor, it doesn't fit correctly. I have new O-rings for it in this carburetor rebuild kit, but the O-rings being round, they really don't want to like stay and live in this groove. Like I can tuck it in, but there's always like a corner that wants to pull out. No matter what I do, I can hold it as tight as I want. This corner always wants to slip out. And so the solution is, rather than try to go crazy holding this thing with all of my fingers in here and see if I can slap it on as fast as possible, which I've done that in the past, but realistically this thing just wants to keep rolling over the lip. So as soon as I go to put it on the carburetor, it's gonna pop off like that. So what you do is you get a little bit of a Gorilla Glue, and you throw a little dab in each of the corners. You hold it in there until it's set, and then it won't come out. It stays in there real well. Brand new O-ring, ready to go onto the carburetor. Super, super, super simple, and then I don't have to worry about my O-ring falling off before I get the opportunity to put the screws in and not having this thing seal up. What I don't want is for it to be leaking gasoline. Now these two carbs, these guys, their gasket stayed in the little groove, or their O-ring stayed in the little groove, and they didn't stretch. Now I think that the other one stretched because I hit them with carb clean, which was my mistake, but either way, I got a new one to stick in here now. I'm gonna super glue this guy, get it put together, and slap the carb back together, and then hopefully we'll get these things on the bike and get it running. Alright, there's the carbs we'll put back together. Ready to go back on. Alright, it only took me about 5 minutes, maybe less than that, 3 minutes to get these things on. I had to fight with them a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. The new boots are very soft and pliable, so they're easy to slide onto the intake. And yeah, I just gotta tighten up the two other carbs over there, throw the air filters on, and we'll Turn the gas on, see what she does. All right, I turned the fuel back on for the first time. Let's see if anything has changed. Normally when I turn the fuel on, those carbs like to start leaking. I have not put the little float bowl drippers on them yet, the little lines, just in case they do start dripping, but so far, so good. Turn on the choke, turn on the key, see if she runs. It took a minute for the float bowls to fill up with gas, but it fired right up, and so far, running just fine now. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. This wraps up the first video on the series for my Honda CB550. It doesn't leak gas anymore. It runs about the exact same as it did before I tore it apart, but I didn't have a problem with the jets. I just had an issue with the fuel float. So now that this thing doesn't leak gas, I can confidently take it out on the road a little bit more and give it some test drives. We're going to see, is the clutch actually slipping, or is it just an adjustment issue? If the clutch is actually slipping, I do have friction plates to replace, and we'll go through all that, and hopefully I don't end up with hella oil leaks when I'm done. Thanks for watching. My name is Justin. Till next time. Bye.